Excuse me, could you point me in the direction of ScreamCity? Never mind, I think I found it.
Hey horror freaks, and happy October. Welcome to ScreamCity's 8th episode. I'm your host, Jessica.
And I'm Monica. Dude, we're in October already.
I know.
I think time is going by a little too quickly for me. But I do love October.
Same.
I tend to thrive in October.
Same.
You know how people get like seasonal depression during the fall time?
Yeah.
Mine goes away and mine comes like during the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a winter depression type of gal.
Really?
Yeah, mine's definitely
Actually,
like December
yeah,
and January.
I think so. Maybe around so. It also didn't help that a lot of my trauma happened around the fall time either. But I still thrive. There's just something about Halloween that brings out the happy parts in me. Yeah.
I love that.
Okay. But for this episode, we're talking about the 2019 film Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I love this film.
Me too.
It's a good one. It's a good little spooky movie.
Yeah. It's still pretty good.
100%. I like it. I think they did well with it. But before we dive in, let's get some, let's do a little intro and talk about a little bit of life. Is there anything you've been up to lately?
Not really. Actually, not at all.
You feel any different from last week?
I don't feel any different than last week.
You are now a full week of being a citizen.
Yeah. I watched Would You Rather, the movie.
On Netflix?
I think it's on Netflix.
Is it on
Yeah.
Netflix?
I mean, my sister owns it. But,
I was going to say, is that the one I'm thinking about? I could be.
But I watched it for the first time last weekend, and it was really good.
The Would You Rather?
Really
I think
good.
I've seen that one.
What about you?
Well, me too. So I actually went to go watch Pearl last night.
Cool.
And I will say it is a solid 10 out of 10 for me.
I love that.
I thought it was a really good film. I am now, not that I wasn't before, but I am obsessed with Mia Goth.
Mm-hmm.
Mia Goth is, I think her acting and like her performance in this movie is just psychotic.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the film, which is not really a spoiler, but the theme of the film is like if you're watching a 1920s type of movie, and that's exactly what I got from it. Like that's what I felt
Right.
that I was watching, which I appreciated. And because of that, I feel like they stuck to the theme a little bit. There's some gore, but when she is doing killing, they don't show on camera her killing, if that makes sense. So, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me, and I love it so much. I thought it was a really good film.
I want to watch it. I think I'll probably watch it.
It's good. You should.
Actually, I forgot about this. It's nothing too crazy, but it did get me.
Uh-huh.
Well, the first thing is, by any chance, are you on Miami Boys Choir TikTok?
I'm not. I don't know who that is.
Great. That's fine, because I'll send you a bunch of TikToks about it.
Don't. I beg of you.
But if you guys are on Miami Boys Choir TikTok, I love it.
Okay.
It's getting me through my days. Yeah.
I guess the only other recent update is that I'm officially going to Halloween Horror Nights.
Must be nice.
And I'm excited. Me and my boyfriend are going. We've planned out the whole thing. We're going for Halloween. So I'm not going to be here on Halloween, which is actually the first. I'm excited, which means that I am forced to go into these haunted houses.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have Mateo record me going through these haunted houses so that you can be proud of me.
But before...
And I'll be like this the entire time.
Before she goes to Halloween Horror Nights...
No!
I am taking her and our friend group to haunted houses.
Mm-mm.
And now that I've said that out loud, I have no choice but to show you guys that I took her to these houses by posting a photo of them on Instagram and all that good stuff. So just watch out for those.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Just watch out for those photos of her at both of these haunted houses. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
I am, and it's so funny. I'm the biggest fan of horror. That's definitely, I've made it my whole personality, but I am I'm a big scaredy cat. I get spooked and very
I feel like every horror fan has that one thing that they just can't do. Like, for example, your haunted houses, I'm psychological.
Oh, that's right.
Movies.
That's right. Yeah, like that one thing that's just
that one thing
in
that
horror
kinda,
that you're like, I have to stay away from
yeah.
that. That's true. And then there's some people that are just so desensitized that they're like, horror's not even fun anymore. And it's like,
whatever.
You're just trying to be macho about it.
Right.
Anyway.
But regarding this movie.
Yeah.
We decided to talk about this film this month because Monica and I both really enjoyed not just the books, but this film as well. And of course, this film is set on Halloween night, so it just made sense to talk about it. So for the very few of you who don't know, this film is based on a collection of 3 children's books that were written in the 80s and 90s by Alvin Schwartz, which R.I.P. But Guillermo del Toro did a fantastic job bringing these horrifying creatures and monsters to real life in the most del Toro way.
Yeah.
Like,
I 100% agree.
Yeah. And shout out to him for bringing some Mexican representation.
Seriously. And we were kind of looking at some of the cast and like other people who have worked on the film, and there's quite a
lot of Latinos.
A lot of Latinos that have worked on this film, which is like, that's so like, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and that's like really good to know.
But anyway, now that we have that out of the way, Monica, since this movie came out just a few years ago, 2019, do you remember watching it for the first time? What was your initial thought, and what would you say your favorite scene and kill would be? Okay.
So starting off, I tried really hard to remember when I watched this movie for the first time, since this movie is, recent. But I still don't remember.
Really?
I don't remember when I watched this. I know I watched it with someone. I don't remember with who. And I think I remember watching it at home. I don't think that this was not a movie that I watched in theaters for sure.
Okay.
So I think I watched it at home. I think it was when I was living in Euless. I think it was around that time, and I think I watched it in my apartment. But I don't know. But what I do remember is that I liked it upon the first watch. I like Del Toro. I like the Del Toro vibes that I got from the movie, and like I just love the way that he worked with the short stories and how he kind of put them all together. Like one of the things that really popped out to me about the film was like I love the 70s and 60s vibe of the film, which I appreciate in a lot of films that are modern day that tried to do back in the day type vibe, which again is what I really appreciated about Pearl. Pearl was a really good one to kind of use as an example, but I don't like anything about, the political side of the 70s and the 60s and all of that. It's more just so like the colorings and the aspects and like the styles.
The clothing and all of that, which I know we can bring to this.
Yeah, back. And I really do think a lot of styles from like 70s, 80s is very much, 1990s is very much present today, which is really cool. So
and like slang words too, or like groovy. Like why don't we say groovy more?
Why don't we say groovy? That was groovy.
Yeah. Or
I liked it. I liked I don't know, but that's just what I liked. So I like that you can kind of tell in the movie of a bit of the timeline, because there's sometimes some movies that have like a timeline base of like, oh, this movie is based in the 70s or the 50s, and then you're like,
you can't tell.
You can't tell.
I hate those movies.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the It remake kind of give me that.
Yeah.
I feel like I couldn't really tell what era they were kind of trying to depict, but nonetheless it's all good. I like the vibe overall, and I remember really liking it. As far as my favorite scene, I kind of had to go back and forth on this because one of my favorite scenes involves a kill, but that kill is not my favorite.
I was so close to doing
funny.
that.
Which is so funny. So I really like the very first kill that we get, which is the bully with the Tommy, the one with the scarecrow. I don't know what it was about the scene. I think there's just something about a horror film that films a scene in a cornfield. Yeah. With, like at nighttime, this guy, this poor boy, he was just going into the corn, well, not really poor because he's a bully, but he goes into the cornfield to try and get eggs or something like that for his mom. I think what really sold me on it was with that first kill, they set the tone of what the rest of the film and what the rest of the kills were going to look like.
I think because this first kill wasn't innocent.
Exactly.
It was very, like out there.
Yeah.
It kind of kept us on our toes, like, oh, holy shit, like if this is the first kill, what are the rest of the kills going to look like?
Right. It was still scary to watch because imagine like a scarecrow that's supposed to be a non-living thing comes to life and is, cracking his body up and down this like cornfield chasing you. When like you're watching a horror film, slasher maybe specifically, and a kill is coming, like that the victim
it's so obvious.
Like the victim it's not given up, but like the victim is just so close to the killer that you're just like, oh, they're gonna die, and then you picture it, and then they show like the goreness of it. So they show like the blood and like the slitting or whatever. And I think with this, you get that same feeling, but you don't get the gore.
Right.
And I think that is like the perfect amount of horror for like a YA type movie, right? Because you get the feeling of like, oh my god, he's gonna die, and then he pokes him, and you're like, hey.
I feel like because this kill wasn't gory, it was more unsettling, very uncomfortable,
and oh my god, and we're gonna go into it a little bit more, but which I'll kind of just get into it now because my favorite kill was of the Pale Lady, the Pale Lady scene where Chuck, Chucky?
Yes.
Where he dies, unfortunately, was the one that made me feel like, dude, that is so uncomfy to watch. I love that scene alone because it makes me feel the way any horror type film makes me feel. It's just very unsettling. It was really between that one or the Jangly Man. The Jangly Man really fucked me up too. Yeah. That man is terrifying. Yeah. What about you?
With this movie, I do remember watching it in theaters. This may be the first movie that we talk about that I actually remember watching it vividly, because it wasn't too long ago. I watched it with two other friends, Natalia and Chelsea. What's up, girls? And I think it was like a last minute thing, so we got like the third row seats from the screen. So it was a little bit uncomfortable having to look up the whole time, but it didn't really take away from my actual experience enjoying the movie, which is good. I loved that when we first see the glimpse of Stella's room with all that Halloween and witchy stuff, my friends turned to me and were like, hey, that's you. My favorite scene, again, I was looking through the scenes, and I think mine would be when they go into the Bellows mansion on Halloween night, and Chuck hides in the closet.
Oh yeah, that is a good one.
Hides
and he
in the
like
closet.
peeks out,
he opens it, and he gets like transported into the past,
into a whole different scene.
And the old lady is sitting on the bed with the Doberman, like right in front of her, and she like slowly turns around. Oh my god!
It was giving
Insidious. It gave me Insidious vibes. But finally, my favorite. So that was my favorite scene. My favorite kill. Gonna have to go with, the one that you just mentioned, which was Chuck.
Yeah,
and
also poor Chuck.
Poor Chuck. He was just a little innocent boy. Right. Okay. But yeah, the one where he gets like swallowed up by the Pale Lady.
And it's again, it's scary because like I don't think that can actually happen. Right. But she's just also very scary looking.
Yeah. I think that's just, you basically said everything.
Yeah.
He's cornered. You're in Chuck's shoes, right? You have nowhere else to go but to accept your fate. Yeah. You can try to escape, try to go
past her,
between her legs. I don't know, or something, but you never know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a big advocate for never splitting up.
Yeah.
Ever.
A huge. Yeah.
Like, why? I loved that this was all FX and costumes and not so much CGI, which I loved this quote that Mike Hill, who's one of the costume designers, said in a behind the scenes video, which was basically that the most challenging part was living up to people's expectations. And he says, because these adults now read these books as children, so what you're basically creating for them or recreating for them is an old family member they had never met.
That is very sweet.
Was so cute. Because it's so true. We all grew up, I say we all.
Majority, yeah.
Majority of us grew up reading the books, and yes, we did have an expectation on how we wanted the monsters to look, and, I feel like it just wouldn't have felt the same if they would have slightly altered the appearances of any of the monsters or creatures. But the creature designers and the FX makeup artists did a wicked job because everything looked amazing.
Amazing. I 100% agree. I loved everything that they did with this film. I do remember reading the books when I was like in middle school and being pretty like I really do think Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is one above Goosebumps. I think Goosebumps is good for the younger babies and like the younger kids, which I am collecting all the Goosebumps books. Nice. And And the same goes for Scary Stories. And Scary Stories just goes a little bit above that. It's like a really good YA, like a good intro to horror for YA. I had recently gone to a little road trip with my sister's book club, and one of the girls had said that that they were like, I don't watch any of these movies that you guys talk about because I don't like scary movies. And so I was like, well, that's kind of why I thought the scary scale was kind of a good idea, because like, maybe if it's a little bit lower on the scale, maybe you might enjoy it a little bit more. And I think this film is a film that can be enjoyed whether, like, no matter your age.
Right.
Yeah, obviously you can look at this film or watch this film and think like, ugh, it's such a childish film or whatever. But again, it's because of those little elements. Like, these kids actually get killed. Like, you don't see gore. You don't see, exactly how they get killed. You don't see them being tortured. It's just the idea that they're literally no longer part of like their world anymore, the story anymore. And I think that's a very unsettling thought. And I think it's a really good one to kind of start like, okay, if you like this, maybe you should try this. And and it's like a really good bottom of the scale, but the overall story is really good too. I mean, it's 3 friends,
right? And Goosebumps, I don't remember reading it much when I was in elementary school. Again, I know I did read Dr. Maniac, which that one terrified me. But I have a vivid memory in elementary school, and every like October or spooky season, we would have probably our English teacher read us a different story every day of October from Scary Stories.
Oh, that's cool.
To tell in the dark. And I mean, I can't really say that it kick-started my love for horror.
Oh, yeah,
that's
no,
probably
me
something
either.
else.
Yeah, same.
But
I don't think but I think it goes to show that this is stuff that we actually enjoyed. Like, we didn't read this and then be like, oh my god, like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to read that ever again. I think it sparked an interest, and we were like, oh yeah, but then we kind of forgot about it. The older you get, pubescent teens,
right?
Trauma happens and everything, and then you find an escape, and then you're like, well, let me try this genre again.
Right.
Let me see what's cooking on over here, and then you try a little more adult stuff, and you're like, oh yeah.
I remember I don't know if you remember, but one of the first times we hung out is the first time I met Gina ever.
Oh yeah, we went to Barnes and Noble.
We went to Barnes and Noble, and because they were like a specific
closing,
Barnes
and they
Noble,
were doing this whole sale,
like 50%. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
but
it was great. I bought a ton of books.
Yeah, but I remember y'all were checking out, and I was like, nah, I only have 3 books. Like, I can't leave a Barnes and Noble sale with just 3 books.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of like looking around, just like really random like sections.
Yeah.
And I found the 3 collections of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and it was beautiful. Yeah. Have I opened it or read it? I have not.
No, we have not. We're saving it for a special occasion.
Yeah.
I love that, and I really do like the way that they depicted the whole story put together. I feel like it can be pretty hard. Like, a good example for me also is Lights Out. Have you seen Lights Out? Okay, have you seen the YouTube video that it's based off of?
Yes.
Okay, so the YouTube video scared the pissing shit out of me. Like, that video was terrifying to me. And then when I saw that they were making a movie out of it, I was like, how can that go?
Right.
Like, I feel like it's a good 50-50. It can either be really good or it can be bad, and they kind of just stupid. But I really love the backstory that they gave the quote-unquote monster Diana in the movie, and I love how they connected it all to like this little boy and the mom, and like I thought they did that really, really well. Did I think the ending was a little cheesy? Yeah, just a little bit. But overall, I think they did a really good job with it. So again, goes with these stories. A lot of these stories are individualized, but in order to find a way to bring them all together and make it work, I think can be hard. So,
and Sarah Bellows.
Sarah Bellows.
She also had a really like,
she was traumatized,
sad backstory.
And as she should.
Right.
Good for her. Good for her for writing these stories as revenge. Per bestie. I love that for her. And yeah, so
this film also had a great cast.
I love the cast in this movie. I will say, again, another thing that really sucks when it comes to movies that include a younger, or that are kind of directed towards a younger audience, it also means a younger cast, which also means I'm not saying for all of, I'm not saying this for all of the kid actors and baby actors, but sometimes you got to excuse some of the acting.
Right.
The acting can sometimes be a little over dramatic, or it can be a little like okay, Miss Girl, you're doing a little too much. Like, tone it down a bit. Again, that's not the case for everybody. But I think, you know, when you're still a kid actor and you're getting into your first major role film, like, you're still learning what your capabilities are as an actress or an actor. And that's why I tend to tell people if they want to get into Harry Potter for the first time, I'm like, I could go on for days about Harry Potter.
Right.
But please excuse the acting
in
these films, because again, the more the films progress, the more you see their acting progress too, and I think that's so funny to watch. But yeah, because the only reason I say that is because I really do think that oh my god, why did I forget her name? The main
Stella?
Is it Stella?
Yeah, Zoe
Stella.
Margaret. Cullen?
Yes,
yeah.
I think her acting was a little overdramatic.
She's
It was very
really
Disney.
young.
Yeah, I was gonna say she was very baby,
She's
but it was
20.
giving me Disney. Oh, she's a baby.
She's a baby. So, and this came out in 2019. So she was
even smaller.
16.
16.
I'm horrible at math.
I just know that there was that scene where she's talking to Sarah Bellows and where she's kind of crying and she's like, "You don't have to do this." Like this. I was like, I'm feeling a little cringe.
Right.
But nonetheless, it was all really good to see.
Zoe, I was watching the movie, and I was like, she looks really familiar, and sure enough, I went to her IMDb, and
I love doing that.
And she is on Only Murders in the Building.
Oh,
Only Murders?
Yeah,
Only Murders in the
one
Building.
with Selena Gomez and
Martin Short and oh my god, Steve Martin. See, I
was
knew.
like,
oh my god,
yes.
I'm so sorry. I love you, Steve Martin.
Cool,
I swear I do.
Cool.
But anyway, she's on that.
Sweet.
I think she was on the 2014 Annie. I don't remember.
Sweet.
And if I'm not mistaken, she was reunited in this film with my boyfriend, Austin Abrams.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Because they were both on The Walking Dead.
She was in The Walking Dead?
I believe so, yes. And Austin, speaking of Austin Abrams, but I know him mainly from Dash and Lily, the Netflix.
Yes. I started Dash and Lily and I never finished it.
It's so good. I was like, you know what? Maybe love does exist. But yeah, so again, great cast. And I think you were doing some research on, what was his name? Michael Garza? The guy who plays Ramon.
I was just saying I had mentioned to Jessica earlier that one, he is the only Hispanic that we see in the film. Yeah, he's the only Hispanic that we see in the film. He's Hispanic, so he is like so both of his parents, I don't know what part, but I know they're both, I think, Mexican, actually Mexican, and he's from Plano. Okay. He's from Plano. And I was like, cool, that's so awesome to see. I love seeing fellow Texans who are Hispanic in, like, big major films. Right. Because the representation is real. Not only are you Hispanic, but you're but you're Texan. Yeah. Thank you.
I love that.
So I just thought that was really, really cool to see. Yeah. And I was like, oh my god.
And, what's his name? Javier Bote? He plays the Big Toe Corpse in this movie.
Sorry.
But he is also, you will probably recognize him.
Oh, good.
Because I believe he plays Slenderman in the movie.
You're lying.
And he plays I haven't really watched this movie in forever, but he also plays the main creature on Mama.
Oh, really? I was going to say, there's actually some actors like that do really well because of I don't this is going to sound really bad. I don't know his name, and I really should know his name because of the way his body is kind of formed. He's very, very tall and very lanky. He plays the Crooked Man.
Okay.
Because you know how have you seen The Conjuring 2?
Yes.
Where he actually kind of walks around the house. I don't know his name. And he also plays...
It's him.
The leper. Oh, is it him?
Yeah. Javier Botet.
Oh, yes. Okay, then yeah. So he also plays the leper in It. The one that encounters Eddie. And then he plays the Crooked Man, too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, and he's Hispanic.
Yeah. Or I want to say Spaniard.
Spaniard?
Kind of like the lady who... again, I'm so sorry. The woman who plays the nun.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She's cool.
I love her. And she's also on The Princess Diaries.
She is.
She is. Which threw me off because I was watching it for not the first time, but I was watching it for the first time in like years.
And you were like, hey, that's the nun.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god,
oh my god, I love you.
It's the nun's backstory.
she was not always the villain.
Right. I really like this film.
I like this
honestly.
film too.
It's just a horror fan or not, you can watch it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You don't have to be a horror fan to watch it.
I think this is definitely one of those that if you want to start off with something baby but still feel the element of horror, I think this is a really good one to start off with, which I know the past couple of films we've been talking about involves a lot of death and a lot of like
very like
kind of
serious
gore stuff. I think this is a really good one to kind of start off the month of October because, one, it takes place during Halloween, which I love their costumes.
Yeah.
Specifically, the clown.
Augie?
Is it Augie?
Yeah.
I liked his.
He said he was a Joker, like the, oh my god, what are they called?
Mime?
No, the cards. I can't think of it.
Oh, a Joker.
Is it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joker. Isn't that what they're called? I guess before we get into the ratings, I guess we can just kind of mention what we kind of didn't like about the film. I know the sister's character.
Ruth?
Like, she was part of the scary stories, because her story was part of a scary story, like, in the actual books, wasn't it?
Right, I believe
like
so.
The blemish one?
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate it.
Really?
I didn't like it that much. I don't know if it's just because she didn't die for me.
I was expecting her to die.
I was expecting her to die, too, but I guess in a different way, but, she got saved.
Yeah.
I think if you have a fear of bugs or spiders, then, yeah, this is definitely the type of scene that you would appreciate as a horror fan if you like getting scared in that way. I don't know if it was her story or if it was just the character herself, or honestly, if how she was playing the character.
Right.
I don't know what it was. She just wasn't memorable for me.
I see. Well, the girl with the green ribbon, I understand that it's a completely different book. It's still Evan Schwartz, though.
Oh,
but I don't know why. I think because I hadn't read the books in a second. I was like, why isn't the story of the green ribbon here? Blah blah blah. But then I did my research and I was like, oh, completely different books.
Yeah.
Again, same author, but it's
Same
still.
author, different
I think
book.
it still would have been really cool to see it, right?
Yeah. I think.
I mean, I feel like that would have been a little bit more gruesome or
more gruesome
gory,
on the other side. Yeah,
yeah.
100%. I know whenever he came out with these stories, there were a lot of parents that are like, why would you write something like this for kids?
Yeah.
Like, this is very inappropriate, given this was also back in
the 80s and 90s.
So people were a little bit more not understanding of the element of horror. But probably if I were to rewatch the film with someone, I'd be like, oh, I didn't appreciate this. I didn't appreciate that. But I think overall, there wasn't too many bad things for me to say because, again, I understand that this is more of like a YA type of like film. So anyone from like maybe 13 to like 18 I think would watch this movie very comfortably and be like, hell yeah, I love this movie. Versus if you're an adult, I think you'd watch this and be like, that was cute, I loved it. But I don't know, I loved every aspect of it. I thought it was good.
Same.
So, but that was the only thing. I wasn't a fan of like the citrus character.
I feel that.
Even the bullies made me hate them.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate because that just means you're playing your role a little too well. But
I'm on you, Austin.
I'm on you, Austin.
But I can't say I have many big complaints. I mean,
Jessica's
again,
not much of a critic.
I'm really not, which
when
is
she
bad.
Likes something,
I feel like
she
it's a
likes
bad.
Something.
I mean, well, we'll probably get to a movie that
I fucking hated this.
Yeah, where I'm like, it's a 0 out of 10. Just kidding.
It's a 0 out of 10 for me.
For example, Silent Hill, but we'll get to that one later.
One?
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. We're gonna have to eventually cover that one.
Not with me though.
Yes,
you
are
there.
one of the hosts. You have to be.
Nah, I'm gonna be out on vacation or something.
No, ma'am.
I'll find a reason.
No, ma'am.
But anyway, I think we're getting
closer to the end.
Closer to the end. So I think now is a comfortable time to talk about the Would You Rathers.
The Would You Rather. I'm gonna start making a jingle. Would you rather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a hard time trying to think of this Would You Rather.
I always say we said this with the last one too, and I think what you guys don't understand when we try to come up with these Would You Rathers is that we really want to
we
to the
don't want
theme
to
of the
sound
movie.
repetitive as
We
well.
don't want to sound repetitive, and we want to stick to the theme of the movie.
Right.
Because obviously we could just do random would you rathers, but that's not fun.
Right.
Because they have to kind of be movie themed.
Right. I mean, if you guys have a cool would you rather,
that's true.
please.
Please. I was going to say, we, like, at the end of this episode, we're going to tell you what we talk about next week. And if you can think of a would you rather for that episode, DM us, text us, most likely, comment on something, and then maybe we can use it and we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah. And if you don't do that, we'll just shout ourselves out.
We'll just shout ourselves out.
Shout out to us because
shout out to
we
us
are
for making
hardworking.
this.
Yeah.
We're hardworking gals who come up
women.
with our own would you rather.
Right.
Exactly. So until someone gives us an idea to actually use and that's really good for the next film, we're sticking with ours, and that means you have to suck it up and work with it as well.
You have to cringe.
You have to
with
cringe
our
with us.
would you rather's.
Yeah.
Anyway, the one that we eventually came up with was, who would you rather encounter? The Pale Lady or the Jangly Man?
Yo, the Jangly Man fucked me up. I don't want to encounter either of them because they were both terrifying to me.
They were both terrifying. Yes, the Jangly Man was, I think the most, like, scary.
Yeah, because he's the most, like, monstrous, I guess you could say. Because he was giving Jeepers Creepers meets, like, I don't know, Exorcist.
Yeah. And then the Pale Lady, she was just, overall, she was very unsettling, very uncomfortable feeling.
That's like the way that you can put it, is that Jangly Man is scary, but Pale Lady was just very, like, ugh.
I feel like I
that.
would rather encounter the Jangly Man.
You think you'd rather encounter the Jangly Man?
Because I can do scary.
Okay.
I just can't do uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'd rather get scared. You know what I mean?
Oh man, that's hard because I don't think I'd want to do either. If I had to encounter one, okay, yeah, I think I'll do Jangly Man. I think too. I don't know if it was just because of the setting that she was in that made it seem a lot worse.
Right.
But I still wouldn't want to be in her vicinity.
Like the red lights, dude. The abandoned hallways. Hell no.
I now have a thing. So I have LED lights in my room where the wall meets the ceiling.
Right.
In a little corners. I have LED lights, and every time that I watch a scary movie, I have to put on the red lights. Like, the red lights is just kind of like the setting vibe for me to watch horror movies. And then I had put those on when watching this scene. When I tell you, my entire room felt like that one scene.
Oh my
because
God.
because the color of the TV and then the lights that I had on, like, overtook my room. It was very overwhelming and very unsettling, but I lived for it. So
I love that for you.
It was pretty funny. But yeah, I think I'd choose the Jangly Man. I think I'd find a way to, I don't know, kick his head off like a soccer ball, kind of like the way doesn't he do that? Don't one of them do that?
Some of that.
I don't remember.
I don't know. But
so what would you guys rather encounter? For also, given I think you would have to watch this movie in order to choose which one you would rather encounter. So if you haven't seen the movie, you should give it a try. So now that we've got our little would you rather out of the way, I think we can go ahead and rate this movie. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
You first.
Okay, me first. Rating this movie wasn't too hard for me, again, because of the appreciation that I have about the film. So for our ratings, we have a scary scale and a satisfactory scale. Just because the movie is scary doesn't mean the movie is good, and vice versa.
Vice versa.
Vice versa.
Vice versa.
Okay, so for me, on my scary scale, I'm giving this a solid 5.5 out of 10.
Okay.
It wasn't, I wasn't pissing my pants with terror.
Right.
I wasn't like, and then I was still able to sleep fine after the movie.
Right.
But I appreciated, again, the horror elements that this movie held. So, the uncomfortability, the unsettling, all of that. I loved it. I loved it all. And because of that, my overall rating for my satisfactory scale of how much I enjoyed the movie was a solid 8 out of 10. Nice. Which is a lot higher because I do like the movie overall. I think it's a really good one.
Yeah.
If you are interested in wanting, like, if you don't really know how to introduce your kids, maybe your own kids to, like, some horror films, if they're not already introduced to them, I think this is a real good one.
This is a good one, yeah. With me, again, like you mentioned, it wasn't hard to rate it.
Yeah.
The scary, I'm gonna have to give it a 4.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Again, zero hate to the movie. It's not that, like, oh, it wasn't scary at all. It was scary.
Yeah, it was scary.
It had moments where I jumped and where I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen next?
What is going on?
Of course, yeah. But that 4.5 comes out of,
like you personally. And
like,
that's what these ratings are. These ratings are how we personally feel about the film.
That just because it's a low number doesn't mean that it was a bad movie at all. But again, 4.5 just because it wasn't, like you mentioned.
Exactly. It wasn't like, it wasn't
anything.
Conjuring. It wasn't Insidious. It wasn't
Sinister.
like any of those elements.
Satisfactory scale, I'm going to have to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because it's a feel-good movie. I mean, is it really?
No, I think it is. I think if you're putting it in the category of horror, I think it's one of those, like, feel-good, like, I want to watch this.
Like, is way, like, I'd rather watch this than Sinister.
Like,
you know what I mean?
would put this in the category of me, like, if I want to watch Halloween movies, I would put this in the category of me being like, okay, so a good list of Halloween movies for me to watch on Halloween would be, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Halloween, Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, like, the feel-good type ones. I don't think Halloween is like a
it's not a feel-good,
it's a
but
slasher, but like...
It's more like a comfort, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
Especially because we grew up reading the books, all of that good stuff, so... Yeah, I'm giving it a good 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think those are solid ratings, man. I love
that.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of my ratings this time.
Oh my God, I love that for you.
Thank you.
So now that we're at the end, along with the film, we highly encourage you to watch this film if you haven't already. Again, it's not that scary, but it does have some really good scare elements. So if you want to test it out, test the waters, definitely dip your toe into this one.
Dip your big toe into it.
Dip your big toe into this one. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it to get that reference. Yes, dip your big toe into the pot of stew. Thank you guys, everyone, for listening. Please feel free to follow us on social media. We are now putting our social media names in the description of the episodes. So if you're on Spotify or wherever you're listening to it, kind of just look at the description and you'll see our names for our social media. So please look through that and copy and paste and follow. Please and thank you. We're also trying our really hardest to be a little bit more active on TikTok. Yes. And on TikTok, you can actually see what we actually look like if you already don't know what we look like. Right. So, but yeah, Jess, you wanna
again, please do. Please follow us on social media, and
you wanna tell them what we're talking about.
Tune in to next week's episode where we talk all about my baby boy, Sam.
Yep.
AKA Trick or Treat.
Yeah. I love Trick or Treat.
Sam is my baby.
Is a good one.
And Trick or Treat is just, oh my God.
Trick or Treat is a comfort film for sure. I like Trick or Treat a lot.
Yay. But I think this episode was our Kickstarter for our Halloween series, and Trick or Treat is up next.
Be up next, and again, I think that's a really good one.
Keep an eye out for that one. Again, it's set on Halloween night. And
I love that.
It's a pretty great film.
I love it overall.
Anyway.
Until then,
thanks for listening. We've been your hosts, Jessica.
And Monica.
Stay safe.
And stay spooky.
Oof. That was scary. I can't wait to come back next week.